this is what we had to choose.
I realized that I was different from other people. There was this word that defined me, a polygamist. Religion was the center part of our lives. We prayed 3 times a day, and the end goal was to reach the celestial kingdom.
Rosemary's family was part of a fundamentalist religion known as the AUB, which stands for Apostolic United Brethren, but they call themselves the Group. There's about 10,000 of them, all polygamists, living mostly in Utah, but with small communities all over the world, including a big temple in Mexico. Members of the AUB are known for being pretty upfront about their polygamous practice, and Rosemary was proud of her big family.
I was taught that families are the most important thing, well, first God, then family, and then country. That's how the hierarchy went as far as what was important in life. We were in the right religion.
As Rosemary grew older, she prayed all the time. In the morning, at church, just before bed, she was praying to find the right husband. And by the time she was 17,
this person comes into the group. He moves down with his family from Washington.
His name was Brady, and he was a recent convert. He was whip smart and handsome.
I'm a legs person, so I thought he had great legs. He was definitely good looking and, great family. He was not related. And, there's slim pickings for us women where we have to find men refreshing. I remember just looking into his eyes on our way down to the Manti Pageant, and I realized that this is somebody you need to take seriously as a future husband.
It turns out Rosemary wasn't the only one interested in the new, smart, handsome guy.
And I just figured, there's a lot of people that like him, so it looks like I don't have a chance. My parents did not like that I was dating a convert. A lot of converts, they come into the group and then they're there for a while and they get wives and then they leave. And their biggest fear with Brady was that he would get married to me and that eventually he would decide to leave and take me with him. So no, we didn't get married. He married Polly.
My name is Polly Williams.
And then he married Robin.
I'm Robin. How are you today?
This is me watching him progress in this polygamous culture. I just thought, well, maybe my time will come.
Rosemary waited, and finally, 5 years after she first met Brady, he asked her to become wife number 3. They were to be married in the AUB temple, which from the outside looks just like a regular suburban home.
Okay, so my marriage day came, and part of the process is
I'm kneeling on one side of the altar with Rosemary also kneeling directly across from me, and then Polly and Robin are kneeling on the other side of the altar.
Everybody's wearing white. It's all white and gold. There are mirrors on the walls that are supposed to represent eternity, because if you look one way you can just see yourself going forever. And, gold chandeliers, gold trim in white. It's supposed to represent, the celestial kingdom.
The wife right before you is supposed to take your hand and put it on her husband's hand. And so Robin, being the second wife, was supposed to take my hand and put it on Brady's hand.
I was asked, of your own free will and choice, do you give this woman to your husband? And
she hesitated. That was a really scary moment because, this is her giving permission. I was wondering what was going on.
I said, I do, but it came out so quietly that no one forced myself to say it louder, and I did put her hand in his. Everybody else stays, and mingles and, congratulates and things like that, and I left right after. I didn't want questions. I just needed to be able to deal with it in my own time.
Before Brady and I left on our honeymoon, Brady says, you should go talk to Robin and just talk to her. And that was a scary thing for me to do, for me to go talk to Robin and find out what was wrong, you know, because I'm the new wife. I'm the person who is disrupting this bubble, this sweet family. And so I did. I went down and talked to her, and she gave me a hug.
I was really going through a hard time.
You know, I felt bad because you're the new person, you know, you're marrying a husband that's already a husband. And even though this was a really hard thing for her to do, she would be okay. She welcomed me. She was very sweet.
But Rosemary wouldn't be the new wife for long. 3 years later, Brady married Noni, wife number 4.
Hi, how are you? My name is Noni Williams.
And then Rhonda, wife number 5.
Oh, wait. My name is Rhonda.
I had 5 wives by the time I was 29 years old. Even for polygamous standards, that's way fast.
And altogether, they had a lot of kids.
My first is Carly,
Josh,
Madeline,
Peppy,
Mara, and Camry. My kids are Hannah,
Lauren,
Dane,
Tommy, and
Trey is my 5th.
Kimberly,
Taylor,
James, and then
Moogie or Brandon,
Paul was the 10th child of the family.
Rachel,
Marissa,
Buddha or Aiden,
Haley,
Addison. And Rhonda's kids are
Eden,
Lake,
Arwen, Nicholas.
For those not counting, that is 25 children, 5 wives, and 1 husband, plus some dogs and cats. They started off all under one roof, but eventually Brady built a house for each of his 5 wives in a town at the base of the Wasatch Mountains. It's called Rocky Ridge.
It's a really, really tiny town.
We have one big grand pavement that goes up, and then all the other roads are dirt roads.
And it was founded by my grandfather, Marvin Allred. They wanted to start a community where they could live united order.
You know, it's just a quaint little polygamous town.
Brady would spend one night at a time with each of his 5 wives, rotating through the week.
I took it in stride that, you know, he would be spending the night with Polly, or if he'd be spending the night with Robin. That was their time, and it was as special to them as my time was to me, and so I should respect that. If you expect your husband to only pay attention to you, it's going to be hard for you. And if you think about what he's doing in the other bedroom, you're only painting yourself.
Rosemary was extremely generous. She moved out of her master bedroom and suite so that I could have my own little place in her home. We had so much fun. When Brady would go out of town, we would watch movies together, and we had babies that were about a little less than a year apart, and you know, we'd wash dishes basically together. You know, we only had one hand available because we each had a baby on the other hand, and we would wash it together. Just, you know, you hold this pan while I scrub.
So the first, 10 years, maybe 8 years, life was great.
Brady was rising pretty quickly through the ranks of the AUB leadership.
I think a lot of that was tied to the amount of wives I got at a very young age. I was called to be the bishop over the United Order of Rocky Ridge, and also a 70 apostle,
which is a group of hand-picked men, the prophet's inner circle. It was they who made decisions for their thousands of followers. Every Sunday, Brady drove an hour north to a meeting of the AUB leadership.
The 70s Core meeting was kind of like the Special Boys Club. There was, maybe 30 men in there, all the way up to the prophet of the group and his apostles, and then all of us underlings, the 70s, and they were just talking about how we needed to come down hard on into the stoning pits for being rebellious. And I go, wait, what? You know, I mean, I'm looking around the room, and all these men are nodding their heads, you know, and I'm just like, holy hell, like, what did I just hear? Couldn't imagine Polly taking Carly by the hand. You know, Carly's my 12-year-old daughter, and leading her into the stony pits because she, you know, heaven forbid, smarted off to me or went out and made out with her boyfriend or something, you know. I just couldn't imagine that. And I'm just like, wait, what? I don't I don't own my wives. And then I realized, in a very, very real way, those women had been raised to think it's okay to be owned by me. I couldn't believe that I'd raised this family to believe those same horrible things.
The problem was, if Brady revealed even just a shred of skepticism to his family, the result would be disastrous. Leaving the AUB would be like burning down his own house.
And so I just kept it to myself, and I kept studying, I kept on reading, I kept more and more embracing a progressive ideal within myself, but going through the motions of being a fundamentalist.
In secret, Brady ordered books on spirituality, feminism, philosophy.
One time, I actually took one of these banned books and I wrapped it in a brown paper bag, like a book cover, and took it to church because church was so boring and I wanted to keep reading, and I knew what I was doing was not approved by the brethren. And so I had to be careful.
But it turns out Brady was terrible at keeping secrets from his wives.
We'd be laying in bed and he would say, I wish I could tell you what I was thinking. And I'd be like, why can't you tell me what you're thinking? I want to know what you're thinking. You know, and he's like, I can't. I wanted to have those conversations with him, and I felt like I couldn't because I didn't understand. They were anti everything that I had been taught.
Here's another book about Joseph Smith and his treatment of women and how it wasn't very appropriate. And they go, wait, what are you reading? And oh, it's just it's a really good history book.
He might wait for me to ask, what are you reading? And ask if I could read it as well. And I would read part of them and then just put them away because they were too different, too much for me.
He had started to build a library of things that my sister calls spiritual porn. Eckhart Tolle and Thich Nhat Hanh and Ken Wilber and a bunch of these other philosophers. And it was a big deal to read some of these books. If it's not church canon or written by one of the people in the group, then it's pretty taboo.
My wives were so devoted to fundamentalism. I knew they would leave me if I left the faith. They would probably be recommended to another man's family to be taken care of. There would be plenty of suitors that would take another woman to be a jewel in his crown. I would go from 5 wives and 25 children to a bachelor, and I would be left all alone.
I was afraid he would leave me, that he would take his favorite wife, and I thought it was Polly, and leave. That's what we had seen so many other people do.